Hi, I'm Len Edgerly of the Kindle Chronicles podcast and blog, and I've got a little video here to help you navigate the Kindle Paperwhite touchscreen, so I hope it'll be helpful to you. I'll start with the difference between tapping the screen and a tap and hold motion. We're here at the home screen on my Kindle Paperwhite. So I've got three collections here. If I simply tap on one of them, it opens it up and I can see the books in that collection. This is my fiction collection. And if I tap on the title, War and Peace, it opens up the book to where I'm reading. We'll tap up here to go back to the home screen. If I tap and hold on the same item, the collection, something different happens. So here I've put my finger down and held it. Now I have some new options come up. I can add or remove items, rename the collection, or delete the collection. Same thing happens for an individual item if you're not using collections. Here we'll use the Financial Times, and if I tap it, it simply opens up the Financial Times, yesterday's copy. And if I tap and hold on the Financial Times, then I've got some other options. I can go to the first page, I can delete the issue. If this was a book, it would be giving me the option to send it back into the cloud in my archive. When you're in a book itself, the difference between tap and hold is a little different, and we'll show that here in War and Peace. If you think of the screen when you're reading a book as divided into three areas, it's helpful. The biggest area, and I'll show it here by putting some cards to cover up the other areas. This area here, sort of the right lower side, anywhere I tap there is going to send me to the next page. So if I just tap here, I'm to the next page, or up here or down here. It doesn't matter where in this area I tap. I tend to tap over by the side because that's just kind of where my thumb is. If I tap on the left margin, which I'll show like this, this is the previous page. So any tap here, it can be low, it can be high, anywhere in there, I'm going to be going to the previous page. The top bar brings up the menu bar, and I'm going to talk about that a little later. But so when you understand that a single tap in the next page or previous page areas is going to send you either to the next page or the previous page, that's what a tap does inside your book. You're just going before and after. If you tap and hold on a word in your book, something else happens. So here you can see the word commotion. So instead of a tap, I'm going to tap and hold. You'll see it highlights, and then when I take my finger off, it brings up a shortened definition of that word, and I can see the full definition by tapping there, which will bring me into the full dictionary. And I can go back to the book by pressing that back button. If you're going to try to do a highlight and you don't sort of pause at the first part of the highlight, strange things will happen. I'll try to illustrate that. So say I'm here at Pierre and I want to go down to here. Whoops, what happened? Well, actually, it thought I was trying to get to the previous page because it thought I was making kind of a swipe to the right motion, which advances to the previous page. That's sort of the natural thing. A swipe to the left motion is what it expects you to do for the next page. And those swipes are simply alternatives. You can tap in the tap zone to get to the next page, or you can move in a kind of a swipe motion and do the same thing. You've got two ways of moving which page you're on. But because I didn't start that highlight with a pause, the Kindle thought I was trying to move to the previous page when I kind of went like that. And that can be a little confusing. So for a highlight, make sure that you do a little pause and then move on down to the rest of your highlight. If you start a highlight and you say, oh, I don't really want to highlight that, you just tap somewhere else in the page and it will eliminate it. The menu controls, I think, are maybe the hardest thing to get used to. You used to have buttons on the Kindle that would hit the back page or the menu and the home and stuff like that. Now all of this is virtual. And the way you access what used to be physical buttons on the Kindle keyboard is you tap on this upper area of the screen. And any place you tap there brings up menu commands that you can use. You can change the fonts, and you can go to your home button. This gives your previous action, and that's, you get used to, there's a menu over here that brings up all these other things. One thing which you need to be mindful of, and Marcy McKenzie pointed this out to me, is that if you have a link on this upper banner, if you tap on the link, it'll go to where the link is. If there happened to be a link to, say these were live chapter headings, it might take you back to the table of contents. This one isn't. Or if there was a link to a website that happened to be in the text of the book that you're reading. So if there's a link in this bar, make sure you don't tap on the link. But otherwise you can tap either on the left or the right as long as you're on that upper area and you bring up the menu. I think it's a little problematic because the other member of the Kindle family, the Kindle Fire, has a different layout of the screen when it comes to how you get to the menu. Now I'm going to pull this up. This is Chris Brogan's latest book on my Kindle Fire. Here's a page on the Fire, and if I want to bring up the menu, I can tap sort of right in the center of the page, and then you see these menu options come up. If I had tapped here on the e-ink Kindle, it would advance to the next page, but it didn't. It brought up the menus. To get to the next page on the Kindle Fire, you have to tap way over here on the far right or the far left margin. I think this is kind of a design problem that Amazon has got in devices that people are using interchangeably. With Whisper Sync, you can sync it up, but if you're on the Fire, you reach the menu controls by tapping on a different spot of the screen than on the Paperwhite. But since this is about the Paperwhite, let's just emphasize that anytime you want to do something other than just read the next or the previous page, you tap up here, and that brings you up to the menu. The last thing I want to show you is kind of cool. If you want to make a screenshot of your page, you press the corners, the diagonal corners. You can either do here or the upper left and lower right. That little flash that you saw means that a screenshot has been saved in the Kindle, and when you attach your Kindle to your computer with the USB cable, you'll see a file that I think it's labeled screenshot and then the time it was taken, I believe. And you can use that file in your computer for emailing it to somebody or however you like. If there's a passage in your book you want to save or remember in that format, that's how you do it with those screenshots. Well, I hope that's been helpful to you, especially if you're a new user to Kindle Touchscreen. And if you have questions, please leave them here in the comments at YouTube. I try to answer them as quickly as I see them on my email. And if you have other ideas on how to help people navigate the Paperwhite touchscreen, for especially new users, please leave them here, and maybe we'll build up some tips and resources that will be helpful to everyone. Thanks a lot. This is Len Edgerly for the Kindle Chronicles in downtown Denver. And if you haven't checked out the podcast, you'll find all about it at thekindlechronicles.com. Every Friday we have 45 minutes of news, tips, and an interview with somebody who has something interesting to say about the Kindle and ebooks. Thanks for watching. Bye.